Afterwards, we will allow for any questions from members of the community during our Q&A. I would like to inform you that the conference call is currently being broadcast on TV and our social media accounts. With that, we are going to move forward to hear a report from our city manager, Jonathan Evans.
Thank you, Marcia, and everyone that's on the call. Certainly, we value the participation from the community as we go through the different phases associated with the city's response concerning COVID-19. One of the things that we were able to put in place and communicated to city employees is the plan that we look to restore operations in an incremental approach. We are anticipating looking to start reopening phases of our government starting in June. June 1st will be the first day that we will be interacting with the public, but the way in which we will interact with the public will be profoundly different than we're accustomed to. City staff right now is working on deploying some technology assets and ways to promote electronic commerce, but also continue to facilitate face-to-face meetings when it's deemed necessary. We are going to look to educate, inform, and provide the necessary training for staff as well as the public as we operate in this new norm. As we look at what phases will what operations will come online, we're going to be looking at that in phases. I have had the opportunity to tour all the municipal facilities and have decided to look at ways working with staff as to how we can take corrective measures to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public as well as our employees. We have decided that in the abundance of caution that we are going to tentatively postpone our summer camp activities as there is no safe way for us to continue to operate as we once did prior to COVID-19. We are going to be researching and looking at ways to offer other types of activities that are more digital based versus situations where we have large groups congregating. As we are aware, the governor has moved Palm Beach County into phase one, and phase one has some important elements contained into that. Phase one does allow for shops and restaurants to increase their capacity to accommodate indoor seating, but the governor also incorporated in phase one was to move the 25% capacity number up to a 50% capacity number. Barbershops, nail salons, and the like have been permitted to open with taking the appropriate safety measures to have the personal protective equipment referred to as PPE to assist in facilitating the safe transaction of business. The city of Riviera Beach is looking at ways to assist our businesses in being successful. So the next phase of our surgical mass deployment will be looking at obviously the community as we have always done, and we've actually distributed over 36,000 masks, but we are actually going to target some of our businesses because as we have all gone out and visited some of our businesses in our community, we understand that some of them do not have some of the personal protective equipment that we speak of, and it's only safer if we provide those necessities to some of our small businesses as they look to restore certain operations. Last night, the City Council agreed with allowing for city administration to put forth a plan that allows for restaurants and businesses to expand their operations in city public rights of way, city roadways. Most discussed or most talked about roadway is North Ocean Drive, which is on the back half of the businesses prior to getting to the beach here in Riviera Beach. And so we're putting together a plan that doesn't look at just that roadway, but looks at roadways holistically throughout the community, and then looking at what policies and procedures and application process that we can put in to allow for small businesses to expand their operations outside of their normal footprint. So, for instance, if there is a small antique shop that has trinkets, and items that they are accustomed to selling indoors, we are going to allow for them to expand certain operations into parking lot areas. This will be consistent with an application process. The city will process that application within a 24-hour period and make sure that the safety protocols are put in place to ensure that everyone has a safe and conflict-free shopping experience. We also want to make sure that there is appropriate documentation and communication with regards to the information that we're hearing from the CDC. We have assigned one particular staff person that will be facilitating that, because our intent is when the businesses come in and provide their plan as to what they're looking to accomplish, and if we as the city go ahead and co-sign with that plan, that they are going to assist in communicating the message and model the behavior that we're looking to accomplish. So that will be, applications will be available as early as tomorrow, and we will look to process those as quickly as possible. Previously, the City Council also appropriated $125,000 in 6 different committees. It's $25,000 per committee, in totality $125,000 to assist in the economic and social recovery. We have groups from health and human services all the way to hospitality tourism, to small business development, faith-based and clergy assistance, and how do we look at the recovery efforts holistically. So the council has started their independent work groups by deploying resources from city staff and then engaging members in the community to assist in providing some extra perspectives as we look to move forward into multiple phases of reopening our operations and assisting our small businesses and our medium-sized businesses within our community. As previously mentioned, summer camps have been postponed. Our library facilities will remain closed until further notice, as we are looking at alternative ways and modifications to our service delivery model. Our beaches are successfully opened, and you will hear later on the call how the city has put forth a plan that is actually going to be modeled by other municipalities throughout Palm Beach County and possibly throughout Southeast Florida, as the plan really incorporates a lot of great elements. It adheres to social distancing requirement. On the city's webpage, reach.org, you can go to the home page, click on the beach capacity numbers, and you will see that there's a gauge there that tells you what our capacity numbers are. You get a live webcam of the beach, and we are intended to make this a safe, family-friendly environment, but also adhering to all the information that we've been provided for months through the CDC. City staff has also been deployed as beach monitors to help and facilitate and provide that concierge service, and our ocean rescue personnel is out there to provide life safety service, as well as our police unit that will continue to patrol the beaches. We are also going to be looking to restore our face-to-face meetings with the City Council starting in June. There will be a situation where some personnel will be on site, some will be off site, but we are looking to gradually reopen some of our operations. Those meetings will be held at the city's Marina Event Center. As I said earlier, we've moved our employees into different statuses. We have primary status on site, where employees are rendering service on site. We have primary hybrid, which is individuals coming in for maybe a week and working remotely for another week. And we have remote telecommuting, where somebody's completely remote, and then we have reserve standby, and those are individuals that are not providing any service to the residents of Riviera Beach. The reason that we've taken the steps to create these different categories for our employees is that we do want to make sure that we can adhere to the social distancing requirements, as well as some of our facilities have reached the end of their useful life and are functionally obsolete. And so in order to make sure that our employees are safe and that the public is safe, we've deployed a different strategy than we are accustomed to operating in. We've also taken the stance that any individual in our agency that has immune compromised systems or has any pre-existing health conditions that we are asking for them to work in a alternative capacity versus situation where they're coming into work. And that is just in the abundance of caution to continue to make sure our employees are safe so they can provide services to the public. One of the things that we put in place as a result of the pandemic is every employee that works for the city of Riviera Beach, since we gradually started with our reopening plan the first part of this week, is screened. They are asked 3 to 4 questions by a healthcare professional, and then their temperature is taken and they are provided a wristband before they enter any facility. So we are taking all the necessary steps to ensure that we are as safe as possible, and then making sure that we're conscientious of our workforce and knowing that they have direct contact with the public. You'll also hear on the call some of the great things that we are doing as it relates to leading Palm Beach County in some of the innovative and creative ways in which to conduct business. The City of Riviera Beach City Council took a step forward with doing something that multiple cities are going to probably end up duplicating. We're going to have a front porch fireworks celebration. For the first time in this city's history, you'll be able to see fireworks most likely from your front porch or backyard in 2 locations, and the fireworks will be going off simultaneously. We have some that will be displayed over by the Peanut Island, and we have some that will be at Dan Calloway Park. And so those fireworks will be, that firework display will be in unison, and there will be an actual radio station that you can possibly tune in, and it will be broadcast live on Channel 18. This method that the city is looking to deploy and the council approved is cheaper than years past and is going to provide a opportunity for our entire city to be able to socially distance, to watch it from the comforts of their home and do it in a safe and responsible manner. So we're excited about the steps that we're taking with regards to that. You've also heard over the last couple of months some of the information that has been disseminated from some of the news media, and some of the numbers are not consistent and have been inaccurate. And Chief Kurd will speak to that more specifically. But you can rest assured that the city, as well as the county and the health department, are doing yeoman's work as it relates to making sure that the public is provided accurate information and information that we can rely on. This virus is still out there. Again, 80% of individuals that will contract this virus will be asymptomatic, and individuals continue to downplay the severity of this virus, saying that it's no different than the common cold. But one of the things that I ask you to consider is that the common cold has multiple strands. This particular virus is different from the standpoint it is probably going to be one of the most deadliest strands of any illness that we have seen in our lifetime. And so it's so important that we continue to wash our hands vigorously and repeatedly, that we utilize hand sanitizers that have at least 60% alcohol, that anytime you're cleaning or disinfecting anything, that you're utilizing products that are EPA approved and OSHA approved. And we are increasing our sanitation and cleaning throughout our city facilities, actually bringing in some additional contractual assistance to make sure that there is a level of care that is emphasized when we're talking about cleaning our facilities and making sure that they're safe for the public. So the city of Riviera Beach is really doing a lot of great things. We will be putting out more information as it relates to the economic recovery, as it relates to how we're going to assist businesses. And one thing as well is that the county has received $265 million from the CARES Act. $35 million of that they utilized and placed in their general fund. $60 million of that is available for small businesses, and will be application process, I believe, opens this Friday. But there are certain may not be able to access the monies that are available as it relates to small businesses. There is going to be subsequent opportunities for the city of Riviera Beach to be able to grab into certain elements of those monies, whether it's through food distribution or whether it's through some other programs, rental assistance, but we're still working with our partners at the county to assist and facilitate that. So all in all, the city is still moving forward. We're still providing services. We've returned crews back safely, and we are still looking every day at how we can improve and make sure that the public remains safe as well as our employees. And stay tuned for information as it relates to our state of the city that's going to be done in a digital format that's going to be communicated to the community in the next couple of weeks. So again, thank you for taking the time to be on the call, and I turn the presentation back over to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. We're going to go ahead and move next to our operations section chief, Chief Kurd.
Good evening, everyone. John Kurd, Interim Fire Chief, serving as your Operations Section Chief. I want to have some conversation about recent events that have transpired in the media and how it impacts us here in Riviera Beach. There's been recent reports of data manipulation on the Florida Department of Health's surveillance dashboard. We can be assured that our data in Palm Beach County is being cross-referenced on the data that they are reporting to the state and ensuring that data is being represented in the dashboard. There is a lot of bad information, and I say this so that you can be cautious in where you receive your data from. There are a lot of different agendas and motives being pushed as it relates to COVID-19 and the pandemic. It's too soon. We need to open up more. There's just simply too much bad information. So I trust that you look at all of the information. Try not to deal in subjectives and I thinks and I feels. Deal with the actual factual data that comes from a reputable source, whether it be the Center for Disease Control, Palm Beach County's Health Department, or us here at the city of Riviera Beach, who has vetted the data to ensure its accuracy. As it relates to data here in Palm Beach, the Palm Beach County Health Department is looking at areas of concern, and what they've done is they've broken the county down into its zip code geographic breakdown. And what they've done is they've looked at the number of cases within each zip code to identify areas of concerns and or clusters. They utilize three benchmarks: over 200 cases, in between 100 and 200 cases, and under 100 cases. There are 4 zip codes that have brought concern to the Palm Beach County Health Department, and those areas are located at 33460, which is Lake Worth, 33435, which is Boynton Beach, 33463, which is Green Acres, and 33430, which is Belle Glade. All of those areas that I just mentioned have over 200 cases within their zip code area. While directly, this doesn't impact Riviera Beach, indirectly, it does. We have individuals that work in these areas. We have individuals in our community that have family or friends in these areas. So we want to caution you, if you are visiting these areas, understand cases since the onset of the pandemic. In Riviera Beach's municipal boundary, there are 51 confirmed cases since the beginning of the pandemic, and we have not seen a significant spike in our area, but there have been a couple of spikes over the last 10 days since the phase 1 reopening. Now, some of these spikes are being attributed to data being dumped all at one time. What Palm Beach County Health Department and the State Health Department are looking at doing is actually smoothing out or rolling the data which basically means to look at when the person actually was tested and the date that they were positive. What a lot of the labs are doing is they're running the test, they're holding the data, and they're releasing the data in bulk to the state and the county health departments. This then creates what can be perceived as an artificial spike. So they're going to look at smoothing out that data to actually look at the date that that person was tested, and then that'll give us a better look at what the daily average of increases are. Currently, the data in the state of Florida is total cases of 48,675, with 2,144 deaths being reported. In Palm Beach County, there are 4,968 confirmed cases since the onset of the pandemic, with 308 deaths being reported. And again, Riviera Beach proper sits at 51 cases since the onset of the pandemic. I caution our community to not get swindled, cheated, or lied to as it relates to coronavirus testing, PCR testing, and or antibody testing. There are a lot of unscrupulous labs that are out there that are offering non-FDA approved testing simply to swindle you out of your money. Please ensure that if you go that are utilizing FDA approved testing. The testing that is being offered here in Riviera Beach is FDA approved testing. There have been some concerns along the practitioners group has reached out to the state to express our concerns. The state has reached out to the lab, and they have COVID testing this weekend at Wells Recreation Center, but we will resume testing the Saturday of the 30th. Tests that have received EUAs from the Food and Drug Administration, and an EUA is an emergency use authorization, and even at that test is not FDA approved. They have just received emergency use authorization, and we're able to provide testing at Wells Recreation Center, which is back on track and will resume next week. We have special needs testing that was completed last week in Riviera Beach by all individuals that were registered with Palm Beach County as special needs. We have homebound testing that is being done this week for individuals that applied for homebound testing and met the criteria. We also are working on testing for our homeless population. We're hoping to be able to provide testing to that vulnerable group here in the very near future, and we continue to provide monitoring to our assisted living facilities, and I can report with great certainty that we have no issues or concerns with our assisted living facilities or senior centers as it relates to spikes and or clusters. I also just want to put out as a public safety announcement that cloth masks need to be laundered regularly. There are concerns with cloth masks being used for extended days on end without being laundered that could create some potential health issues or concerns. So I urge our community, if you are using cloth masks, to please ensure that those are being laundered regularly. And as I did last update, I will remind our community again, we are on the heels of hurricane season. We did receive a report from the National Weather Service that does anticipate a higher, a more active season this year, higher than normal. So we want to ensure that our community doesn't lose sight of some of these other concerns that we have in our community, and just want to ensure that we are prepared and we are resilient as we move into hurricane season in the midst of a pandemic. With that, I have no other report out of operations. I turn it back over to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you, Chief Kurd. Next, we're going to hear from our leisure services branch beach leader, Ms. Franks.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Ms. Noel. Good evening, everyone. Lady Franks, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. The Mayor and Council approved the beach to reopen on Tuesday, May 19th at 12:30. The reopening has been a smooth transition, and the beachgoers and the patrons have been very pleasant and receptive to our reopening. And in the last couple of days, the beach capacity has been approximately 8 to 10%. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of inclement weather in the late afternoon.
2020. This is due to the policies provided by the state guidelines for summer food deliveries. Human Services is currently developing a plan to ensure that those students are continually served and can have lunch at home. Mass distribution is ongoing, even for the residents that are calling in. We are making sure that those residents are receiving the mass either by home delivery or mailings. Health and Human Services is working with Councilwoman Lanier to develop health campaigns to address health issues of Riviera Beach, and several of the initiatives will be rolled out to the public, hopefully within the next 30 days. We're continuing to look for COVID-19 grant dollars to actually combat and to assist with COVID-19 issues, whether it be education, mental health, or other issues that may be affecting our community. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Ms. Noel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our Finance Section Chief, Mr. Sherman. If Mr. Sherman is on the line, if you can please speak. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move over to our Planning Section Chief. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Sherman, is that you?
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. This is Randy Sherman, Finance Director and Finance Section Chief. I want to start by just piggybacking a little bit on the city manager's comments about the county. The $50 million for small business and business grants actually kicks off tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. So if you're interested, you need to go out to the Palm Beach County site and start the application process. I did also want to point out that out of that $260 million plus that the county did receive, they've also allotted $40 million for emergency mortgage, rental, and utility assistance. And again, you'd have to go out to the Palm Beach County site if anyone is interested in that. I want to follow up on an item that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Police Department did apply for the DOJ, Department of Justice grant for COVID-19 assistance in the amount of $109,000. And they are glad to say the city has been awarded that grant, so that'll help cover some of the costs that we will not be FEMA eligible for. And finally, as the manager mentioned, as we start to roll back to a full reopening here, we are 9 weeks into this since the declaration, and we will be reopening the utilities and rolling back and trying to get all of our customers caught up. I would anticipate 9 weeks in, 9 weeks out, which would put us right at the end of July. So please watch your June water bills for notification on how that will be handled. We haven't finalized the details yet, but those will be coming out within the next week or so. And Ms. Noel, that ends my report.
Thank you. The last of our reports will come from our Planning Section Chief, Mr. Bailey.
Last but not least, and I'll keep this brief for the community, you will notice that the Public Works Department has instituted operations. You'll see us out and about in the community, working diligently to address the aesthetics in the streets, cutting grass, trimming trees. We are currently in preparation for hurricane season and doing hurricane cuts. So you will notice the Public Works staff trimming trees back a little thinner than we would normally leave them in the wintertime. That is in preparation for the, as indicated, active storm season that is beginning on July 1st. And that is your Public Works report. And I'll return it to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you. That concludes our report. Now we're going to move over to the question and answer period. If anyone from the community is on the line and you have a question on anything that was said, this is your chance to share your question. You can do so by dialing *9 so that I can unmute your line. All right. Seeing that there are no questions at the moment, we're going to go ahead and move forward to final announcements before we end this call. I just want to remind everyone that these calls are weekly. Next week's community teleconference will be done with our city council. It will begin at 6:30, same conference line information. So you can get back on this line next week, Thursday at 6:30 and hear updates on COVID-19 and city operations with our city council. With that being said, that will end our call this evening. Thank you again for your time. Have a great and safe night.